speaker, and this session is going to be taken by Dr. Bipin Kumar Rai. Dr. Bipin Kumar Rai is currently working as professor and head in Department of Information Technology, ABS Institute of Technology, Ghaziabad. Dr. Rai has authored around 16 papers in reputed international journals and conferences and 2 books under his name. He has guided various projects for SIH, that is Smart India Hackathon, which I think Director Sir has already mentioned. Few of them were the winners in that particular. And his area of interest are cryptography, blockchain, and data structures. So I would like to welcome Dr. Bipin Kumar Rai to start with the session. So please.
Thank you, ma'am. The screen is visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, in the session 1, Dr. Das discussed the basic primitives, cryptographic primitives, which is used in the blockchain as well. Few things are not related directly here, but it will be the fruitful conceptual understanding for the blockchain. In this session, I will cover the basic introductory part of the blockchain, the types of the blockchain, and the consensus mechanism which is used in the blockchain for the validation of the transactions. So let's start now. In any general business environment, the businesses work in a network. And in the business environment, the customer, manufacturers, financial institutions, several stakeholders are involved for that. And the mostly business happens through markets, and the nature of the market may have private and public as well. So we can say the private, that is a kind of financial bonds, supply chain management, etc. As the public market, we can say that like a fruit market, grain markets, a kind of car showroom, etc. And those businesses, they generate the wealth via exchange of assets. And these assets may be direct assets or in the form of services. And we know that in any business, a kind of conditions, a kind of business contracts are involved. And I would like to connect all these terminology with the blockchain as well. So just like the contracts in the blockchain, we may write smart contracts. And for that, we have platforms, we have programming languages. Like, for example, if I say on Ethereum platform, we have Solidity language for writing the smart contract. And a smart contract means all those manual contracts can be ensured automatically by writing those piece of codes, that is smart contract. So these assets may be tangible or intangible in the nature. Tangible, like you can say houses, cars, etc. Intangible, that is a kind of patent, bonds, etc. And cash is also an asset which have an anonymity property. It doesn't belong to anyone. That is have a kind of exchange nature. So we know all these things. So movement of assets across various entities in the business network are recorded in a kind of ledger. And all those stakeholders, those are involved in those business processes, maintain their own ledger. And that's why the asset transfer onto or of the ledger, we use the term transaction. This term you all are aware. We use this term in our database management system as well. So this transaction, we use blockchain in the blockchain also. So this transaction is similar, or you can say same, just like we use in database. So if a transaction happens via any condition, then it is said to be contract, as I said, in the form of smart contract. Now, take this example. Suppose there are two participants, A and B. They are maintaining their record of all those transactions involved in the business process. Here, the bank, insurance party, regulatory body, a kind of auditor. There may be some other parties or other stakeholders as well. So maintaining the separate ledger is a inefficient approach and expensive as well, and vulnerable. So anyone can access those documents, may alter, and we are aware that so many frauds are there, so many scams are there, and in media you are listening so many scams related to the bank scam also. So this application, this scenario can be handled through blockchain. The same participants, participant A, participant B, bank authority, auditors, a regulatory body, it can be managed through blockchain. So now I would like to discuss some definitions of the blockchain. So what is blockchain? Blockchain is a trusted distributed ledger. So this ledger term comes from the banking or the previous application as I discussed. So blockchain is a distributed ledger which is shared across the business process. And in blockchain, the prerequisites are the basic of cryptography and distributed system. Most of the participants, I hope that they are aware about the basic concept of distributed system. But it may be that 30 to 40% participants are not aware about that. So considering those participants, I will discuss in very brief about those distributed system concept, which is very important in the blockchain. So blockchain is a distributed ledger, and it allows us replicated. That means the same copy will be maintained at all the participants in the business process. So you can see here the replica is at participant A, at the participant B, at the bank authority, at all the stakeholders, the same copy, that is a replica, will be maintained. So blockchain, it allows a shared replicated permission ledger with consensus, provenance, immutability, and finality. Consensus means this is the term which is used in distributed system. Suppose all those nodes in a distributed system want to commit some transaction. So for that, a certain kind of consensus mechanism is used. And it is also used in all types of blockchain. So I will discuss this consensus in the last of the session. And it is the most important keywords in the blockchain, that is immutability. Immutability means on the blockchain, whatever the transactions will be committed, no one will be able to alter those transactions. So we say blockchain is very useful in those problems where the nature of problem is, the need of the problem is, the data should be immutable. So in those problems, the blockchain is very suitable one. The next definition we have, a blockchain is a decentralized computation and information sharing platform that enables multiple authoritative domains who don't trust each other. Like the permissionless model of blockchain, all the participants don't know the actual identity of the participant. And even in the permissioned blockchain, where the identity of the nodes are known to all other participants, but they may not trust each other. There are the possibility that malicious nodes are involved in that. So that's why we don't trust each other to cooperate, coordinate, and collaborate in a rational decision-making process. So blockchain basically provides a very good environment where several participants, they don't know, they don't trust each other. They can work, they can cooperate, they can coordinate for any business processes or for any decision-making process. Now, one more definition. This is a formal definition. A blockchain is an open distributed ledger that can record transactions between two parties efficiently and in a verifiable and permanent way. So open means accessible to all, just like Bitcoin is the best example for this. Distributed ledger, that means no single party hold of that ledger. Efficient means fast and scalable. There are one criticism on the blockchain regarding this scalable property, and few articles you may be aware about the hologram chain. So just like blockchain, they are talking about now holochain, and they claim that the scalability is not very efficient in the blockchain, and they are providing the alternatives for that. But it's in a very primitive stage. Next one, the verifiable, that everyone can check the validity of the information. And we know that the nature of the transactions available, the blocks in the blockchain, they have a permanent nature that no one can alter, no one can change. And this is the limitations also. That's why blockchain cannot be used in all those problem statements where a kind of non-permanent data is required to store. Now, just see this slide. Nowadays, we are using in different for our official work also, we use a kind of shared Google document where all the user can edit simultaneously, and a kind of history is maintained by those cloud provider. Everyone edits on the local copy of the document, and these cloud take care of the consistency insurance. So this is a kind of comparison with the centralized, decentralized, and distributed. So we know that in centralized, a kind of single point control on the network is. In decentralized, multiple point of coordinations are. and distributed, everyone collectively execute the job. So blockchain is a distributed environment basically. So this previous example, like we use this, it can be maintained through a blockchain. So blockchain is a decentralized database with a strong consistency support. So just like we use some files to manage to accessing from all the participants, the same nature of the blockchain decentralized database have. Now, a more simplified view of blockchain, as I said earlier also, that each node in the blockchain maintains a kind of local copy of the global blockchain system. This blockchain system ensures the consistency among all these local copies, and the concept of distributed system is used for making consistency. The local copies at every node is identical, and the local copies are always updated based on the global information. We call this a public ledger, that is a kind of database, you can say. So it is the available to all, and the history of all those information may be utilized for the future computation. In several applications, like in the banking sector, the old transactions are used to validate the new transaction. So historical information of the banking transactions is just using the old transaction for the validation. So I will take this example to understand. Say we have 4 participants, that is Alice, Bob, Eve, and Jan, and the public ledger of Alice and all other participants are here. Alice have suppose 100, say the 100 rupees, you can say. If any transactions happen, suppose Alice transfer 50 rupees to Bob, then it will be reflected to all the local copy of Bob, Eve, and Jan alphabet. So that is the meaning, that if any transaction in the blockchain network occurs, then it will be reflected in all the local copies of the blockchain. Now, in the blockchain, as I said, that blockchain works like a public ledger. So we have to ensure in the blockchain that protocols for the commitment of the valid transaction. So just like in the Bitcoin, for the commitment of any transaction, a challenge response mechanism is used. So for committing any type of transaction, we need some mechanism. So the traditional approach of consensus mechanism is also used in the blockchain. So consensus ensure that local copies are consistent and update, and the validation of valid transaction, ensuring that only valid transaction committed on the blockchain. We use certain protocols for that. The next aspect, we have security. The data should be tamper-proof, and this is the basic advantage of the blockchain, that the data is stored in a very secure manner, that no one will be, it is not possible for anyone to tamper that. Privacy and authenticity. The data or the transaction belong to various clients. The privacy and authenticity is ensured by the blockchain. Now, the blockchain, we can understand just like in a book, we have certain pages. So similarly, in the blockchain, just like a page in the book, a block is in the blockchain. That means a series of a chain of blocks are in the blockchain, and this is a very general structure of a block in the blockchain. So we can divide the whole information in the block. We can say header, and the second one, the list of transactions. So here we are seeing few fields in the figure, that is hash of the block, timestamp, nulls, and this is the list of transactions. So in each block, we will have some header information which contains the data about the block, a reference to the previous block, that is the hash code. So I will talk about this hash pointer in the next slides, and then this list of transactions. In the session 1, lots of the content has been already covered by Das sir, that is about the cryptographic hash function. Few things which have been not covered in that session, I am going to talk about. That we know that hash function takes as an input variable size data and produces a fixed size output. So that hash code we are using here in the blockchain as a hash pointer. So this hash pointer is used to connect all those blocks. And one thing always claimed by the blockchain developers, that it is immutable, no one can change. So it is possible only by this connection of all the blocks through through hash pointers. So it is a very important part to understand in the blockchain. So I will cover few slides. So hash pointers is used in the blockchain, and another important point is the market tree. So I am skipping these slides now. We know that hash function have three important properties, that is collision free, hiding of some original message, and third one, the puzzle friendly property. As we know that the property of hash function, that it should be collision free. That means if we take a certain input and we are getting a certain output, then it should not be possible for anyone to take that hash code and finding any another alternative message having same hash code. So that we can say that if this is the message, then the corresponding hash code will be unique, and then only we can ensure the application of the hash function. This third property, that is puzzle friendly property, gives scopes to be used in the blockchain for the validation or the commitment of the transaction. How is it so? Suppose we know that in hash function we give certain inputs. So say we have input X and we are using a hash function H, and we are getting the hash code Y. So by getting this Y hash code and by being aware about the hash function, it should not be possible to find out the X. But if we say that X is known to someone, or it is publicly known, and Y is also known, and we have to find out this K such that X concatenation of K, and if we apply the hash function on this value x concatenation k, we get this hash code y. So it is not an NP completeness problem. It is difficult one. It is complex one, but it requires lots of the computational power, but it's not an impossible thing. So this difficulty, this complex problem is proposed on the network to all the miners so that they will work on that, and after successful break of that problem, they will claim that yes, we are winner, and that transaction, corresponding transaction will be used for commitment of the block. So this puzzle-friendly problem of the hash function is used to solve the mining puzzle, and it is used in the Bitcoin proof of work consensus mechanism. So now about the hash pointer. As I said, a cryptographic hash pointer is a pointer to locate where some information is stored, and this hash pointer connects all the blocks in the blockchain. So you can see the data suppose we have, and the corresponding hash code will be worked as a hash pointer. So if we see in the form of blocks in the blockchain, so these are certain datas, di plus 1, di plus 2. It is nothing but in the blockchain we can say this is the set of transaction di, this is the set of transaction di plus 1, and this is the set of transaction di plus 2. And this hash code is the hash code of di. That means the hash code is used in the block is the hash code of the previous block. So that's why we say this is a hash pointer which connects all the blocks in the blockchain. Till now, if anyone have any queries, please ask. Anyone? Anyone? Okay. So, as I said, that in the blockchain, a kind of hash pointer is used. Now, a very important concept in the blockchain we should understand, that is Merkle tree. Suppose we take example of the Bitcoin. We know that several transactions the miner wait for the transactions. Say for example by default the time set is 10 minutes. So after 10 minutes, whatever the transactions will be received to all the miners, they will collect and they will find out the solution of the proposed challenge. And after the successful break of that problem, complex problem, the winner miner will create a block, and this block will be stored in the blockchain. There are one more information which is stored in the Bitcoin as well and in all the blocks, that is a Merkle code. So how it is computed? सपोज हम मान लें कि देयर आर 4 ट्रांजेक्शंस। कोई ऐसा है जिसको हिंदी बिल्कुल समझ में नहीं आता? एनीवन हु डोंट अंडरस्टैंड हिंदी? Few thing I would like to discuss in the Hindi also, because it will be more effective, I think so. Anyone? Okay. So suppose there are 4 transactions, T1, T2, T3 and T4. So the Markel code will be computed like this. The hash code of T1 is H00. The hash code of this transaction T2 is say H01. The hash code of T3 is computed say H10, and hash code of T4 is computed as say H11. तो जितने भी ट्रांजेक्शंस हैं उन सारे ही ट्रांजेक्शंस का हैश कोड कंप्यूट होगा, एंड आफ्टर कंप्यूटेशन ऑफ ऑल दोस हैश कोड again we will compute in this hierarchical fashion. That is, the H00 and H01 will be combined, and again we apply the hash function and we get say H0. Then this H10 and H11 will be combined, and we again apply the same hash function and we get the hash code say H1, and at the root we will get the final Markel code. That is, at the Markel root, whatever the hash code will be, it will be stored in the block. That means जितने भी ट्रांजेक्शंस हमारे कलेक्ट होंगे माइनर के द्वारा, उन सारे ट्रांजेक्शंस के हैश कोड डायरेक्टली कंप्यूट होंगे, and by this hierarchical fashion we create a Markel root, and the hash code at the Markel root is stored in the block. I will take an example of Bitcoin to show how it is stored, and it is in the public domain. You can explore. Tomorrow we have second and third session on the Bitcoin just for hands-on. तो इस सेशन में मैं सारे वो कंसेप्ट कवर करने की कोशिश कर रहा हूँ जो बेसिक कंसेप्ट है. यदि आप इसको अवेयर होंगे, देन इट विल बी वेरी easy to understand all those practical session in tomorrow's second session and third session. So if anyone have any doubt, then please ask. Use of Markel tree. The Markel tree, it was proposed in 1992 for stamp stamping and verifying a kind of digital documents. So, and now it is used in the Bitcoin also. So if we say the blockchain, we can understand, we can take it as a hash chain. तो जितने भी हमारे ब्लॉकचेन में ब्लॉक्स हैं, जैसा मैंने आपको प्रीवियस स्लाइड्स में भी बताया कि दिस इज द हेडर इंफॉर्मेशन. वी यूज अ नंस वैल्यू. आई विल टेक एन एग्जांपल to discuss how it is used and how it is important. This nonce is similar to, just like go in the previous slide. Here आप देखें, मैंने कहा कि x है, x का if we compute hash code we get some hash code. यदि x आपको पता है और y आपको पता है, और मैं आपसे कहूं कि tell me the value of k such that कि x और k का combined hash code y आए. So this k is basically the nonce value. यहाँ पे जो k है, this is the nonce value. Okay. So Markel root, मैंने कहा जैसे Markel root हमारा ब्लॉक हेडर में ये भी एक इंफॉर्मेशन होता है, and this is the previous hash. जो प्रीवियस हमारा ब्लॉक होगा उसका हैश कोड स्टोर होगा. सो दिस इज द इंफॉर्मेशन वी स्टोर्ड इन द block of a blockchain. Now, यदि हम मोटे तौर पे डिवाइड करें तो we can say that we have two types of blockchain. The first one is the permissionless blockchain, and the second one permissioned blockchain. Permissionless जो model है, that means it is an open model, just like Bitcoin. तो open model का मतलब क्या है? Anyone? Anyone having any idea about the permissionless model? मैंने आपको पहले बताया the Bitcoin is the best example of permissionless model.
Direct, excuse me sir.
Please sir.
डायरेक्ट एक्सेस मतलब लेना एक तरह से पब्लिक फॉर्म परमिशनलेस का आई होप सो.
Okay, any other reply?
Excuse me sir. Yeah, in the permissionless environment, you don't have to take permission from the Bitcoin owners or Bitcoin blockchain developers. If you have the stakes, then you can join the network. Or if you have hash power, then you can join the network and do your work as a miner or as a blockchain entities.
Yes. Thank you, sir.
Excuse me, sir. Pre-registered required is mandatory for that. For permissionless, there should be a condition that all the entities or candidate must have registered before when they access the permissionless operation or process. I hope so, sir.
Thank you for your response. Any other response, please? It will give me some inputs to discuss few points which may not be in my mind. Okay, let's continue. So, जैसा सर लोगों ने भी बताया कि जो ठीक है कि कोई भी पार्टिसिपेट करेगा किसी नेटवर्क में, then definitely he have to show some identity, and they will join via some network. There will be some protocols, there will be some login mechanism. So it is okay. The permissionless model means it is an open environment. Anyone can participate. And that's why the nature of the permissionless model is a very large number of participants are involved. The users don't need to know the identity of the all participants. In permissionless model, normally the identity of the participants are not revealed to all other participants, and hence the user don't need to reveal their identity to others. This type of model is very suitable for cryptocurrency and some financial application as well. Now, structure of a block. A block, basically, we can say it is a container data structure that contains a series of transactions. And the best example of the permissionless model is Bitcoin. A block in the Bitcoin may contain approximately 500 transactions, and nowadays there are more transactions are stored in a block. I will show in next slides. So on average, in thousands maybe, the average size of a block is around 1 MB. The upper bound proposed by Satoshi Nakamoto in 2010 is 1 MB. But it can be grow up up to 8 MB or sometime higher. This is the statistics at the March 2020 to 2018. That is 8 MB or higher, but nowadays it is more. I will show in next slides. Larger blocks can help in processing large number of transactions in one go. यहाँ पे एक बात समझने जैसा है कि सपोज जो कंसेंसस है या हम ट्रांजेक्शन्स को स्टोर करते हैं ब्लॉकचेन में, तो जो कंसेंसस मैकेनिज्म है, वेदर इट इज in Bitcoin we use proof of work consensus mechanism. तो क्या हम एक एक ट्रांजेक्शन्स पे कंसेंसस अप्लाई करें? क्यों ऐसा कर रहे हैं कि ब्लॉक साइज शुड बी 1 MB or 8 MB? So a kind of trade off we have. यदि हम ब्लॉक साइज को बहुत छोटा करेंगे तो जो थ्रूपुट ऑफ कमिटमेंट ऑफ द ट्रांजेक्शंस है वो अफेक्टेड होगा, और यदि ब्लॉक साइज हम बढ़ाएंगे देन डेफिनेटली फिर इफिशियंसी और उसके करस्पॉन्डिंग जो अदर कॉम्प्लेक्सिटीज हैं वो इंक्रीज होगा. तो दैट्स व्हाई वी हैव काइंड ऑफ ट्रेड ऑफ वी हैव. So larger blocks can help in processing large number of transactions. So that's why this type of block size we have, and continuously the block size is increasing. I have taken this snapshot. You can use this link. I will share all these slides after the end of the FDP. And tomorrow we will have hands-on session on this Bitcoin. तो आपको कल इसके सारे प्रैक्टिकल्स होंगे. तो जस्ट मैं कुछ चीजें आपसे डिस्कस कर रहा हूं ताकि आपको कल बिल्कुल ऐसा नहीं लगेगा कि ये क्या है. तो आप इस पे लिंक पे क्लिक करेंगे blockchain.com पे, और ये आप ऐसे सिंपल टाइप करेंगे गूगल पे, यू कैन सी, और किसी भी एक ब्लॉक्स का डिटेल देखेंगे, यू विल सी लॉट्स ऑफ द इंफॉर्मेशन ऑफ द पर्टिकुलर ब्लॉक. ये जो मैंने पिक्चर लिया हुआ है, ये मैंने लिया हुआ है अप्रैल 13, 2021 को, एंड दिस इज द ब्लॉक 679031. You can see the miner of this block earned the total reward point, and it is in the form of Bitcoin. The reward consisted of a base reward of this with an additional reward paid. So this type of information you can see here. The block reward, also known as coin-based reward, were sent to this address. तो मैंने अभी स्टार्टिंग में कहा कि आइडेंटिटी जानने की किसी की जरूरत नहीं है. अभी कुछ रिस्पांस भी आए थे कुछ पार्टिसिपेंट्स के, कुछ प्रोफेसर्स के, कि ज्वाइन करना पड़ सकता है, and then that participant can work as a miner or a simple participant. तो आइडेंटिटी जो होता है वो एक तरीके से बिट फॉर्म्स में होता है, या यू कैन से अ काइंड ऑफ बिट स्ट्रीम. सो आइडेंटिटी कैन नॉट बी नोन टू एनीवन दैट हु इज ही, कौन उसका ओनर है या कौन है वो बेसिकली. So it will be a virtual address kind of thing. तो जो पहला इंफॉर्मेशन है आप देख सकते हैं, these are the header information, the hash of the block, confirmations, time stamp. आप देखें यहाँ पे लिखा है 13 अप्रैल 2021 and 2:15 PM, that is 14:15. So it is a time stamp. Height, जो हमने मार्केट ट्री की बात किया. माइनर कौन है उस ब्लॉक का, जो मैंने आपसे कहा कि किसी भी सेट ऑफ ट्रांजैक्शंस को जब वो कमिट होगा ब्लॉकचेन पे, तो बेसिकली क्या होता है कि कोई प्रॉब्लम प्रपोज किया जाता है नेटवर्क के द्वारा. तो सपोज इन अ बिटकॉइन नेटवर्क कोई प्रॉब्लम प्रपोज किया गया, और जितने भी माइनर हैं उस प्रॉब्लम का सलूशन फाइंड आउट करने की कोशिश करेंगे. जो माइनर सबसे पहले उस चैलेंज का सलूशन क्लेम करेगा कि यस आई हैव गॉट द आंसर ऑफ दिस चैलेंज, वो माइनर का जो सीक्वेंस ऑफ ट्रांजैक्शंस होगा that will be arranged in a block, और फिर वो ब्लॉकचेन में ऐड हो जाएगा, और फिर वो ब्लॉक सारे ही जो पार्टिसिपेंट्स होंगे उस ब्लॉकचेन में, उन सबको उसकी रिप्लिका, उसकी कॉपी मेंटेन करेगा ब्लॉकचेन नेटवर्क, एंड इट विल बी रिफ्लेक्टेड एट द लोकल कॉपी ऑफ ईच पार्टिसिपेंट। तो आप देख सकते हैं नंबर ऑफ ट्रांजैक्शन, इस ब्लॉक में जो नंबर ऑफ ट्रांजैक्शन कितने हैं ये भी एक इंफॉर्मेशन होता है ब्लॉक हेडर में। सो नंबर ऑफ ट्रांजैक्शन यू कैन सी 1910। डिफिकल्टी लेवल, डिफिकल्टी लेवल बेसिकली ये है कि जो ब्लॉकचेन का ब्लॉक कमिट करने के लिए जो कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी, जो प्रॉब्लम, जो चैलेंज प्रपोज किया है उसकी डिफिकल्टी लेवल क्या है। एंड दिस इज द मार्केल रूट, जैसा मैंने अभी डिस्कस किया था इन द प्रीवियस स्लाइड्स, दैट दिस इज द मार्केल रूट, कि जितने भी ट्रांजैक्शन है, सपोज उसमें देख रहे हैं हम देयर आर 1910, तो उन सारे ही ट्रांजैक्शंस का हैश कोड कंप्यूट होगा इन हायरार्किकल फैशन, and at the root of this Markell tree the hash code will be stored in the block. So this is the basically Markell root, that is hash code at Markell root. Version कौन सा है? This is the version. Bits, weight of that block, size क्या है? You can see जैसे 8 MB हमने कहा, you can see here the block size is much more than 8 MB. The nonce value, मैंने आपको बताया the k value of the hash computation, finding the k so that we get the corresponding hash code if we talk about the proof of work mechanism. So this is the nonce value. Transaction value, ब्लॉक रिवार्ड, तो जो भी माइनर होगा उसको रिवार्ड के रूप में he will get some reward points. So you can see 6.25000 BTC. So you can see the miner of this block earned a total reward of this 6.25000 BTC. So this information is also stored in the block. And again the fee reward, same information in the form of hashes. As we said, this is the hash code of this block, this is the hash code of previous block. It will work as a hash pointer, and this is the Markell true, and this is the next block. Now about the hash function, SHA-256 is the hash algorithm. This is the double hash. SHA-256 is used for computation of the hash code in the Bitcoin. Previous block hash is used to compute the current block hash. Now already मैंने ये cover किया है that the transactions are organized as a Markell tree. The Markell root is used to construct the block hash. If we change a transaction, you need to change all the subsequent block hash. In previous slide मैंने कहा कि it is a immutable platform. कोई इसमें possible नहीं होगा कि आप किसी भी डेटा को, किसी भी ट्रांजेक्शंस को आप चेंज कर पाए। ऐसा कैसे होगा? क्योंकि यदि किसी भी ट्रांजेक्शंस को आपको चेंज करना है, तो जैसा मैंने कहा कि जो मार्केल ट्री है वो कैसे क्रिएट हो रहा है, एक एक ट्रांजेक्शंस का हैश कोड एंड देन हैश कोड्स कंबाइन होके अगेन उसका हैश कोड कंप्यूट होता है एंड वी गेट अ मार्केल कोड। तो किसी भी एक ट्रांजेक्शंस को आप चेंज करेंगे एंड वी नो बाय द हैश फंक्शन कि if we change a single bit, then we will see a sufficient amount of change in the hash code in the terms of number of bits. यानी एक बिट भी आप इनपुट में चेंज करेंगे तो जो हैश कोड आएगा उसमें जो बिट्स के डिफरेंसेस होंगे वो बहुत ज्यादा होंगे। तो इफ वी want to change any transaction, if any attacker want to change any transaction, then he have to change all the subsequent block hashes, which requires a very high computational power, और we can say कि जितने भी ट्रांजेक्शंस, जितने भी ब्लॉक्स को कमिट करने के लिए, ब्लॉकचेन पे स्टोर करने के लिए, जितने भी कंसेंसस मैकेनिज्म के करस्पॉन्डिंग जो चैलेंजेस हैं उसको बीट करने में जितने भी कंप्यूटेशन पावर लगता है, उस सबका कलेक्टिव वर्क किसी अटैकर को करना पड़ेगा। एंड with the current computational resources, we can say it is impossible to do that. So that's why the difficulty level for the commitment of a block in the blockchain we keep very high, so that any type of change in the transaction should not be possible for any attacker. So the difficulty of the mining algorithm determines the toughness of the tampering with the block in a blockchain. So this is the some transactions of corresponding that previous block header. So you can explore this. Now बिटकॉइन, मैं बहुत शॉर्ट में, ब्रीफ में बिटकॉइन पे बात कर रहा हूँ, और इसका जैसा मैंने पहले भी कहा कि हैंड्स ऑन कल होगा। सो बिटकॉइन इज अ कंप्लीटली डिसेंट्रलाइज्ड पीर टू पीर permissionless cryptocurrency, and it was came in the picture in 2009. It is completely decentralized, no central party for ordering or recording anything. Software that runs on the machine are all stakeholders to form the system. And as I previously said, that it is the permissionless, that is no identity is required, no need to reveal their identity. Anyone can participate, anyone can access this network. Now, regarding the consensus mechanism which is used in the Bitcoin, or we can say permissionless consensus. So this challenge response mechanism is used on the permissionless model. The challenge response mechanism means the nodes in the network tries to solve the challenge posed by the network, and the nodes or the participant will give the solution for that. The node that is able to solve the challenge first would get to dictate what the next set of data or state element to be added. जैसे फॉर एग्जाम्पल मैंने कहा कि बिटकॉइन में बाय डिफॉल्ट जो टाइम है दैट इज 10 मिनट्स, ऑल द माइनर वेट फॉर 10 मिनट्स, इट मे बी मोर आल्सो, बट बाय डिफॉल्ट टाइम इज 10 मिनट। तो जितने भी ट्रांजेक्शंस रिसीव होते हैं करस्पॉन्डिंग टू दैट, सारे ही जो माइनर हैं, जो उसमें एज अ माइनिंग प्रोसेस में पार्टिसिपेट करना चाहते हैं, दे विल क्रिएट देयर ओन ब्लॉक। तो सपोज मैं कहता हूं वी हैव ट्रांजेक्शंस T10 to T15, देन मे बी कि एक माइनर T10, T11, T14 एंड T15 चार ही ट्रांजेक्शन ले। कोई दूसरा माइनर 2 हो सकता है, वो सपोज T11 से T14 तक ट्रांजेक्शन ले सकता है। कोई तीसरा माइनर है, सपोज वो T10 to T14 ले सकता है, उसमें 5 ट्रांजेक्शन ले सकता है। तो कोई जरूरी नहीं है कि जो ट्रांजेक्शन है, जो लिस्ट ऑफ ट्रांजेक्शन है, वो सारे माइनर के पास सेम सीक्वेंस होगा, ऐसा नहीं होगा। तो सारे माइनर्स क्या करेंगे, अपना ब्लॉक क्रिएट करेंगे। उसके बाद जब वो सारे लिस्ट ऑफ ट्रांजेक्शंस उसके पास आएगा और उसका वो ब्लॉक क्रिएट कर लेगा, देन ही विल ट्राई टू सॉल्व द चैलेंज पोज्ड बाय द Bitcoin network or any permissionless network. जो उसका सबसे पहले सोल्यूशन प्रोवाइड करेगा उस चैलेंज का, वो उसका जो करस्पॉन्डिंग ब्लॉक है वो आपके ब्लॉकचेन पे एट लास्ट ऐड होगा एंड उसकी कॉपी सारे ही नेटवर्क पे, सारे ही जो पार्टिसिपेंट्स हैं उनके लोकल कॉपी पे अपडेट हो जाएगा. So this process will continue iteratively at different rounds. So now the challenge, or we can say the real issue we have for the designing of a good challenge. So to ensure that different nodes will win the challenge at different runs. For example, यदि Bitcoin की हम बात करें तो there are 10 to 15 major players in the Bitcoin network. Just one second. जैसा मैंने कहा कि there are several criticisms on the Bitcoin network. कि जैसे first है कि it requires a very high computational power, and because of that lots of the energy is wasted. If we compare the energy required, the electricity energy required by the Bitcoin network, it is more than several countries' annual required electricity power. जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल बांग्लादेश का जो पूरा एनुअल रिक्वायरमेंट है उसका इलेक्ट्रिसिटी का, उससे ज्यादा तो बिटकॉइन नेटवर्क की रिक्वायरमेंट है. सो आई विल शेयर इन नेक्स्ट फ्यू स्लाइड्स. तो देयर आर वेरी मेजर प्लेयर, दे आर डोमिनेटिंग द बिटकॉइन नेटवर्क. जो आप देखें कि मैक्सिमम जो ब्लॉक्स ऐड किए गए हैं बिटकॉइन नेटवर्क पे, यू कैन सी that 10 to 15 players are the major player. They are competing, they are finding the solution of the challenge proposed by that network, and they are adding the blockchain. So that's why it is requirement of the network that we should design algorithm such a way that different nodes will win the challenge. Because of the Bitcoin network use the proof of work mechanism, this type of situation we have. Because in proof of work mechanism, it is a consensus mechanism which is used in the mostly permissionless consensus permissionless model. It ensures consensus over permissionless setting based on the challenge response. And in the proof of work mechanism, any miner requires a very high computational power, servers and the machines. So definitely only those participants or only those miners which have who have a very large computational power, they can only participate and they can only solve the challenge proposed by the network. So this is the issue in the Bitcoin. So there are other consensus mechanisms are also available for the permissionless consensus, and that are proposed as an alternative of this proof of work consensus mechanism, that is the proof of stake mechanism. Now this is the Bitcoin value proposition. The last few years we have seen lots of the interest in the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in general. Several countries are proposing, trying to provide their own cryptocurrency. In our country also, you all are maybe aware, may not be aware, that Indian government have also planned. It is proposed in the form of law in upper house and in lower house as well. It is under discussion, and there are several notification of RBI also. They are claiming, it is not clear nowadays, now at this very moment, that what will be the form, whether it will be a really cryptocurrency or whether it will be just a digital currency. But several countries are in the race to provide their national cryptocurrency or a kind of digital currency, because lots of the ban on this Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency uh, was not in the position to stop the interest of the participant of these cryptocurrencies. So definitely it will be the future. But one thing I here I came in my mind that mostly people understand that blockchain means Bitcoin. I would like to underline, the blockchain is not just Bitcoin. Bitcoin is just one application, just one application of the blockchain. And Bitcoin is the example of a permissionless model. There are permission model where it can be used in a very limited fashion also, in a very closed group also. So you can see the number of Bitcoin transactions per month. We have this much amount at this is the Wikipedia. I have taken the picture from that. This is the source. So very high number of transactions committed are on the in the form of Bitcoin transactions. Now the value proposition. Size of Bitcoin blockchain size is this much as of March 25, 2021. तो जैसा मैंने कहा कि block sizes is continuously increasing, and the price of one Bitcoin is this much, and this is the price I have taken on 13th of April 2021. Now the permission model. In third session, the consensus or kind of consensus mechanism is discussed by the Das sir. And tomorrow morning, the first session, the consensus mechanism which is used in a permission model, that is the Byzantine fault tolerance mechanism, will be discussed in tomorrow morning. A kind of practical session will be as well. So in the permission model, that is, we say sometimes we say private blockchain. So both are synonymous. We can say permission blockchain or private blockchain. So blockchain can be applied just beyond the cryptocurrency, as I said earlier also. तो ऐसा नहीं है कि blockchain is only just a kind of Bitcoin. So the underlying notion of consensus mechanism, security, and distributed, all those replica concepts, all those concept of distributed system is used in this permission model. So that's why if anyone is really interested in the blockchain, then firstly he should explore the cryptography primitives part and then the distributed system part, especially the consensus mechanism. And most enterprises, the use cases only involve the hundreds or you can say thousands of the participants. So in any type of problem statements, this blockchain can be used. Say for example, if I take an example, हम courier करते हैं, तो if we are doing some post in national level, then there are not the issue, because the नेशनल लेवल वी हैव सम डेटाबेस, सपोज आपने स्पीड पोस्ट किया तो उसका नेशनल लेवल पे डेटाबेस है। एंड वी कैन ट्रैक ऑल्सो, हम आजकल ट्रैक भी कर पाते हैं, वी कैन सी कि अभी कहाँ पे हमारा पोस्ट है, कब हमें डिलीवर होगा। सपोज वी हैव अ सर्टेन इंटरनेशनल कुरियर, तो there are multiple parties are involved from the source to destination, and in between all those parties will require to share the data. So in a very private mode, certain information can be exchanged among the third parties, but there are the another issue arises, that is the trustness. Suppose if you are posting some courier to any another country, whether it is in a European country or in any other country, then how much they have trust on those source party and vice versa. तो कितना वो एक दूसरे पे ट्रस्ट करते हैं और कितना वो डेटा एक दूसरे से वो एक्सचेंज करते हैं, तो उसके करस्पॉन्डिंग the blockchain solution can be provided. And you can see in this application there will not be 1,000 of participants. Certain parties may be in 5 to 10 participants maybe, and they can use the blockchain network. They may have a certain kind of contract, and those contract can be implemented in the form of smart contract, and automatically those smart contracts will be used on that network, and it will ensure the actual contract in the execution. Another example I would like to say, a kind of crowdfunding. अभी जैसे आपने देखा कि in corona pandemic most of the celebrities they are collecting some money. Some cricketer collected so many money via using this crowdfunding platforms. So nowadays these crowdfunding platforms are become very popular, and for providing more transparent and kind of trust and transparent environment, it can be provided by using the blockchain. And again here a smart contract can be written so that all the participants with those conditions, with those execution or the completion of tasks, actual amount can be transferred automatically. Suppose someone wants to do some project and for that he needs some kind of fund, then a blockchain based crowdfunding platform can be used, and for that several funding agency can have trust on that network. They can provide certain amounts, and corresponding to that amount they may expect that after completion of this much task, this much amount can be released. After this much task, this much amount can be released. So this type of norms, this type of criteria or conditions can be ensured in the form of contract. And that's why this private model, this permission model, have great potential to solve the real life problem and our public problem as well. Like I would like to take one other very interesting example, and it is related to a faculty fraternity that not a very renowned institution, but most of the institutions are using very fake data, that they are saying that we have 100 faculty, 150 faculty, and if you really see, then there are only 50 to 60 faculty members in the institutes. How it is possible? Because we at the AICT level, at the government level, we do not have a very transparent and trusted platform by which it can be ensured. And the solution for this problem is the blockchain solution, a blockchain platform. On the blockchain platform, it will be in the public domain, and the mark sheet, the certificate, the actual identity, it can be maintained on that platform, and the transfer of one faculty from one institution to another institution, it can be traced, and it cannot be tampered. One time whenever an institute will submit certain data, it will not possible for them to alter. You know that every year AICTE asks for certain information related to faculty member, and most of the institution, not most of the institution, some institutions play with the data. In one year they submit few data, another year they submit another data with another name. So lots of the forgery is going on, and the actual affected entity, the parties are faculty member. And if we implement by this, lots of the bogus data will be removed, just like by use of Aadhaar in several government scheme. We know that lots of the bogus data has been removed, and definitely the actual the beneficiary are getting the benefit of that. So similarly, the institution will be in the position to recruit the actual faculty instead of just submitting the bogus data. So it is another example. So in this way, there are lots of the example, lots of the problem we have, which can be solved by this permission model. I discussed all these examples so that we all may have in our mind that blockchain is not limited to just Bitcoin. Yes, just to understand what is the concept of blockchain, Bitcoin is very useful. It is the public domain data. You can see what is Merkle root, what is the consensus mechanism, how block is, what is the structure of that, so many things. So now the blockchain, permission blockchain, the consensus mechanism is different one. I will share this mechanism. Not in this session, I will share some link. You can explore the Raft consensus mechanism, the Paxos consensus mechanism, and the Byzantine fault tolerance mechanism. So these are the conventional distributed system consensus mechanism, which is used in the distributed system as well. And this Raft mechanism and Paxos mechanism, it was proposed in early 90s. If we talk about the consensus mechanism, then firstly say, as I talked about the proof of work mechanism. So proof of work mechanism, most popular one, just like as I said, we have X masses and find out the K value corresponding to the hash code Y. So this is a example of proof of work mechanism. Some another example can also be proposed. In the alternative, if we say, तो proof of work mechanism का जो alternative है, that is proof of stake mechanism. तो proof of stake mechanism क्या कहता है कि instead of just relying on the computational capacity of a miner, just change the algorithm, and they talk about the how much stake you have. How stake means the how much amount of Bitcoin you have. So how much the ratio of the stake will decide the ratio of the committed blocks on the blockchain. तो ये इस बात पे निर्भर नहीं करेगा कि कितना कंप्यूटेशनल पावर है किसी माइनर के पास, और उसके अकॉर्डिंग जितना उसके पास स्टैक है उसके अकॉर्डिंग वो कमिट कर सकता है ब्लॉक को ब्लॉकचेन नेटवर्क पे। प्रूफ ऑफ स्टैक के बाद कुछ और भी एल्गोरिथम्स है, जैसे इंटेल ने अपना एक एल्गोरिथम प्रपोज किया, but it requires a hardware and have the limited application. In permission blockchain, this type of consensus mechanism is not used, and this Byzantine fault tolerance mechanism is a most popular one. But before discussing with all these three algorithms, I would like to say there are three types of error occurs in the network. The first error can be, say, just like a participant or a peer in the network is crashed. So it may be that the miner or the other participant will not be aware about that. So that type of fault, we say a single individual fault. Second type of fault can be like network partitioning. Network partitioning means, suppose some set of nodes or peer are in one subnet, another one is another subnet, and all those subnets are connected via a single line. Suppose one line is disconnected, then all those group of nodes will not be able to communicate on through the network. So that is the problem which is known as the network partitioning. The third kind of you can say error, or you can say fault we have, that is the Byzantine fault. Byzantine fault means a network behaves maliciously. As I said, in permissionless model, the identity of the participant is not known to all other one. In permission model, identity is known, but although the identity is known to all the participant, that individual, that participant may behave maliciously. For example, he may pass some information to one node some value and to another node some another value. So this type of malicious behavior is considered in the Byzantine fault. And in consensus algorithm we have in the distributed consensus literature, this Paxos consensus and the Raft consensus are sufficient enough to solve the problem of first two type of faults, that is a crash fault or network partitioning fault. But this Raft and Paxos consensus mechanism are not sufficient enough to solve the Byzantine fault, that is a malicious behavior of a participant. And for that, Byzantine fault tolerance algorithm is used. This particular algorithm will be discussed in tomorrow's first session in more detail. So now I am going to talk about these two algorithms in very brief. I will share a YouTube link. You can explore in very more detail if you want to explore. Firstly, the Paxos consensus mechanism. Let me use a more detailed slide. So in the Paxos mechanism, you can see it was firstly proposed in 1989, and lots of the debate was on this Paxos mechanism. It was the first consensus mechanism, and it was published in 2001. So lots of the queries of the reviewer, the distributed system researchers arises on this, and they said that it is not efficient one, it is not capable enough to provide a kind of consensus on the distributed system environment, because a kind of synchronization issue we have in the distributed system. But at last, the Lamport was able to prove by using the mathematical formulation mechanism, and it was accepted at last. This mechanism have a very complex approach, and that's why lots of the questions was. I am going to discuss in very brief. In this consensus mechanism, there are three kind of parties are involved. First, we can say proposer, the second one acceptor, and the third one learner. Learner means they are not actively participating, but they are part of the network, so he should be aware about the activities going on the network. So system process is making a proposal, accepting a value, and handling the failures. So as I said that Paxos and Raft mechanism are capable enough to deal with first two type of faults, that is the crash fault or network partitioning fault. So proposer propose a value that should be chosen by the consensus, and the acceptor will form the consensus and accept the value, and learner will simply get the activity status. So any proposer can prepare a proposal, and the proposal will have a certain proposal number. It will form a timeline, and the idea of Paxos algorithm is the biggest number will be considered as up to date, and it will be considered for the acceptance by the acceptor. Just take an example to understand this. मान लीजिए कि suppose यूनिवर्सिटी हमें प्रोवाइड करती है कोई इलेक्टिव सब्जेक्ट, तो हम क्या करते हैं कि हम स्टूडेंट्स को प्रपोज करते हैं. नॉर्मली मोस्ट ऑफ द कॉलेज एक ही सब्जेक्ट चलाते हैं, तो कहते हैं कि देयर आर 4 सब्जेक्ट की चॉइसेस हैं, फील दिस चॉइस, एंड जिस चॉइस पे मैक्सिमम स्टूडेंट्स के आएंगे, मेजॉरिटी ऑफ स्टूडेंट जिस सब्जेक्ट को एक्सेप्ट करेंगे वो सब्जेक्ट एक्चुअली रन करेगा. तो देयर आर फ्यू स्टूडेंट्स जो बहुत एक्टिव होते हैं, दे ट्राई टू फाइंड आउट द मेजॉरिटी. सपोज कोई स्टूडेंट है जिसको ब्लॉकचेन पढ़ना है, तो वो फाइंड आउट करेगा, अपने साथ वालों को कन्विंस करेगा कि ब्लॉकचेन बढ़िया है, ये है वो है. कोई दूसरा है जो क्लाउड पढ़ना चाहता है, तो कहेगा क्लाउड बहुत अच्छा है, वो मेजॉरिटी फाइंड आउट करने की कोशिश करेगा, और जिसपे मेजॉरिटी आएगी वो बेसिकली एक्चुअल में सब्जेक्ट चलेगा. सो बेसिकली दिस इज द एक्चुअल idea behind this algorithm. So you can say it is a very democratic idea. So proposer will propose some proposed value, and it will be broadcasted to all the acceptor to get majority. And as I said that each acceptor compares the received proposal number with the current known values. जो एक्सेप्टर होगा वो देखेगा कि उसके पास अभी जो वैल्यू है, नोन जो वैल्यू है किसी भी प्रपोजल का, उससे यदि ये प्रपोजल नंबर छोटा है, देन डेफिनेटली ये पुराना प्रपोजल है, ये ऑब्सोलीट हो चुका है, एंड इट विल बी सिंपली डिक्लाइन. अदरवाइज इट मींस इट इज अप टू डेट लेटेस्ट वन, एंड इट विल बी एक्सेप्टेड बाय द एक्सेप्टर. Then the acceptor will send his or her message, whether it is accept or decline, whether the proposal number, biggest number the acceptor has seen, वो proposal number, and the accepted values. already accepted value from the other proposer. So this message will be sent to the proposer. Now proposer will take the decision according to the majority of acceptor. If proposer will get majority of the responses from the acceptor, then it will be accepted one. So proposer will see that whether the majority of acceptor rejects the proposal. If this is the case, then proposer will update the latest proposal if we want to continue in the race. Otherwise, majority of the acceptor having accepted value, then simply proposer value can be chosen, and otherwise he will send the accept message to all. Now the accepting value, proposer will send the accept message to all the acceptor, that is the proposal number and corresponding single value which is proposed in the proposer step, and it will be received by all the acceptor, and all the acceptor will, each acceptor accepts value from any of the proposer. It will be notified to all the learners so that the participant in the network, they are not active, he will be aware about the activities going on in the network. Now acceptor failure. Now this is the very important thing to understand, and that's why the Byzantine fault algorithm came in the picture. And as I said earlier, that Holochain criticize on this part only, because suppose a single acceptor fails during the prepare phase, then there will not be any issue. Other acceptor can hear and respond on the proposal, and the majority of the acceptor can respond on the proposal, and the proposal can be granted. If acceptor fails during the accept state, then again no issue and vote can be done. If more than n by 2 minus 1 acceptor fails, minus 1 because of proposal, actually the proposal will propose the value. So if n minus 2 minus 1 acceptor fails, then majority of vote cannot be received by the proposer, and that's why no proposer will get a reply and no value can be accepted. Now the proposer failure, if there are only a single proposer, though no option to for any kind of rejection, so proposer always have the proposal with the biggest number, so no proposer will be rejected. If proposer fails during the prepare phase, then acceptor will wait, and after he will get the response, then he will become the proposer. And if the proposer fails during the accept phase, then acceptor have already agreed upon whether to choose or not to choose the proposal, so they may respond accordingly. Now there are one scenario maybe, and here the Lamport was stuck, and after the arises of so many questions on that, he proposes this concept of leader, which was used in the next alternative algorithm of Paxos, that is draft mechanism. The scenario is, suppose there are two proposers. So proposer received confirmation to her prepare message from the majority. Proposer ने एक proposal बनाया, उसने सबको भेजा, और उसको अभी majority of the acceptor ने response कर दिया, but उसने अभी accept message सबको नहीं भेजा. In between, another proposer can send the prepare message with higher proposal number. So this higher proposal number will be considered as a up-to-date proposal number. So another acceptor may respond on this proposal number. And because of that, the first proposer's proposal will be blocked. So block the first proposer's proposal from being accepted. So you can see here, the proposer is, this is the 10 and this is 100. This 10 is 100 is the transaction number, and this 10 is the proposal number. So he is getting the response from this acceptor, and this acceptor. He have received the majority. But before sending the accept message, this proposal prepare up-to-date proposal having the proposal number 11, and this 10 become old one. So to solve this type of problem, Lamport proposed a leader election, that is, select one of the proposer as a leader, and the leader will be whatever the winner of this leader election process, that proposer will be considered as the final. So in this way, Paxos algorithm works, and the Raft mechanism use this leader election idea and propose the alternative of the Paxos algorithm. And Raft mechanism is most popular. It is a simplified one, and it covers the node crash fault and the network partition fault as well. So very briefly, I am going to talk about this Raft mechanism as well. Till now, if anyone have any queries, then you may ask. By default, I am considering that you all are getting whatever I am trying to convey. Okay, so the Raft mechanism, as I said, the Raft mechanism was designed as an alternative of the Paxos mechanism. And a generic way is to distribute a state machine among the set of servers and ensure that every server agrees upon some series of state transition. This state machine is just like, it is the same thing, just like we know in theory of automata, we have a kind of state machine. So every node in the network is considered as a state, and corresponding to the several communication among all those nodes be considered as a transition. So the basic, and corresponding to that, there's maybe some inputs and corresponding to some outputs. So we know that we have a Mealy machine, Boole machine in automata theory. So that is the basic background of this state machine. So basic idea is the nodes collectively select a leader and others become followers. So the leader is responsible for the state transition log replication across the follower. So it is just like in our democratic system that finally who become the leader of any governing body, the final decision taken by that leader, but certainly with some consensus, some consent taken from all the ministry member, or you can say follower in the respect of Raft. So in Raft, we elect a leader, and it is a continuous process. So we can say re-electing a leader time to time, committing multiple values to the transaction log, and dealing with the replicas failing. So you can see this is a, you can take it as just like a state machine. So startup, there are certain nodes. Suppose this is the candidate who want to become leader, and other are follower. This was the elected leader. So anyone wants to become a leader, he will try to discover the current leader, or he may claim as a leader, a candidate leader for a new term. So if the time outs, then a new election will be begin, and the leader will be those nodes who will receive the votes from the majority of the servers. So for selection of the leader, the first step is voting the request. So any candidate who want to become leader will send a request vote to all other one, and it consists of two fields. The first one, the term, which is a last calculated term value plus 1, and the second field is index. Index means the committed transaction available to the candidate. मतलब जो हमारा डेटाबेस है, जो लॉग डेटाबेस है, उस पे जो ट्रांजैक्शन नंबर है, that is the index value. तो ये request for vote, it will be transmitted to all the nodes. Follower node will take the decision. Each node compares received term and index with the corresponding current known values. That is, यदि किसी नोड के पास जो इंफॉर्मेशन है किसी भी ट्रांजेक्शन्स का, उससे यदि ये टर्म छोटा है, दैट मीन्स ये ऑलरेडी ब्लॉकचेन में है, तो फिर इसको जरूरत नहीं है, एंड इट विल बी डिक्लाइंड. अदरवाइज उसका इंडेक्स वैल्यू, सॉरी, दिस इज द टर्म वैल्यू, that this is the new term. He want to become a new leader. So this is the term value. If this term is less than the known term value to this node, that means this candidate want to become leader is the old one. The new leader with the new term is already in active state. So it is an absolute request for the vote. So it will be declined. Next, otherwise, the index value will be compared. If it is less than the index value, that is the transaction number is known to this node, then again it will be declined. Otherwise, he will simply vote to that candidate to become leader. Now, the candidate who want to become leader will wait for the majority voting. All the other nodes will send his response, and if he will get the majority voting, then he will change his status and he will become the leader. And if he will not be able to get the majority voting, then simply he will change his status as a follower node. Now, the multiple leader candidate maybe. So current leader failure, in the case of current leader failure, suppose this is the scenario we have. This is the leader and these three nodes are follower, and the current term value is 10, and the last committed transaction number is 100. So this leader is sending this status, and after that, suppose this leader got crashed. So in that condition, the next any of the follower will claim for the new term, and he can send the new term, that is a +1, that is 11, and known transaction number to all the other follow. Now it may be the case this old leader may recover again. So the new leader elected by this new term, and if the old leader recovered, then simply he will change his status from leader to follower. So the old leader received heartbeat message from the new leader with a greater term, that is 10 + 1, that is 11, and this leader will drop the leader status and he will become the follower. So similarly, two nodes may send request message with different with the same term value. So in that case, the leader candidate who will get the majority of vote, that node will be the leader. So we can see in the figure that he is sending the message. This is shown in the green color, and his request vote message shown in the blue color. And this candidate got 2 votes and this got 1 vote. So this node will become the leader. Now, after winning the race, he will send that he got the race, and this leader candidate will drop his status and will become the follower. So I am going to stop now. There are more slides for computing the log, but I am limiting my discussion on the raft. So this is all about the raft consensus mechanism and the Paxos consensus mechanism. And as I said, both have the limitation of the not suitable enough to handle the Byzantine fault. You can assume that suppose any acceptor in both Paxos and raft mechanism, if behave to one in one way and to another one in another way, so it is maybe that the consensus is not achieved, or maybe some undesired result on the network. So that's why this both algorithm can be used only when this Byzantine fault is not in very consideration. And if it is so, then for the Byzantine fault, we use Byzantine fault algorithm. So tomorrow it will be discussed by the Professor Sudeep. So this is all from my side. Now, if anyone have any question, then you may ask.
All right. So
sir, one question my side.
Yes, sir, please.
I have one doubt regarding Bitcoin. How identify the Bitcoin address and who govern it, sir?
Pardon, please, sir.
Regarding Bitcoin, how identify the Bitcoin address and who govern it?
Who governs the Bitcoin?
Yes, sir.
As I earlier said that the blockchain platform, it is not the platform which is handled by a single entity or any single person. It is a network, and on this network, especially as you asked the Bitcoin as well, so certain miners are involved, certain participants are involved, and the Bitcoin challenge is proposed by the Bitcoin network. So the challenge is proposed to the network, and corresponding to that challenge, the actual solution is provided by the miner. And as I said in our previous slides, that the miner receives those transactions, and corresponding to those list of transactions, he prepare a block, and all the miner receives transactions and prepare the blocks, and the successful solution provided by the miner, those blocks is added in the network.
Right, like doubt regarding how identify the Bitcoin address?
Bitcoin addresser in a Bitcoin, whenever anyone participate, then he will receive a certain address. Just like we use a wallet, as we use Paytm wallet, we use so many digital platform for transaction of the money. So we get some addresses. Similarly, in the Bitcoin network, a kind of address, you can understand it like just like a hash code. So this is the address. Suppose I want to transfer on Bitcoin network, I want to transfer 100 Bitcoin to you. Then I will use that address, that will be in the form of hash code. I will not be able to know your actual identity, but yes, I will be aware of that address and I will transfer. And similarly, the receiver will be able to know that this amount came from this address. So certainly a kind of address is involved, and you can understand it just like a wallet address or a kind of login is provided to you. Similarly, on those wallet, certain kind of address you will have. So it will be very clear to you in tomorrow's session when you will download a certain kind of wallets, you will have certain logins, you will transact some amounts to all those participants in this FDP. So Mr. Vipin Gupta will take all those hands-on session on this Bitcoin. So I think you will have a practical exposure on that. I have already done all those things, so it will be very clear to you. Any other question?
Yes, sir. Sir, one question from my side.
Yes, please.
Sir, is it good to invest in cryptocurrencies as an asset class?
It will be very difficult for me to reply
Yes, sir,
on this.
very much popular
Yes,
these days, so that's why I'm asking.
I will tell you a few things. As you know that in India it was banned before March 2020, and in March 2020 there was judgment of Supreme Court that you can do transaction, you can have Bitcoin as well. But the government, every country wants to control these cryptocurrencies. I would like to share one case. There was मुझे नाम नहीं याद आ रहा उसका. He had thousands of Bitcoin and he forget the password to log in. And there are no way to, just like आप भूल जाते हो अपना पासवर्ड तो आप बैंक पे चले जाते हो और आप बैंक पे अपना सिग्नेचर प्रोवाइड करते हो, अपना KYC आइडेंटिटी को वेरीफाई करते हो और आप नया पासवर्ड मिल जाता है. But there are no way on Bitcoin network or blockchain network to get all those. And he got frustrated and perhaps he suicide. So this Bitcoin, most of the person utilizing this platform. So I cannot say yes, I cannot say no, but I would like to say that in coming future time, definitely in certain form, I don't know in which form, but this cryptocurrency will be legalized by every country. And yesterday I was reading an article that China is already proposed his cryptocurrency, and we are very slow in this very process. So every country will definitely going to adopt this blockchain mechanism for their governing purposes and the financial activities also. But what will be the form? It may depend on that particular country or the particular governing body.
सर एक्सक्यूज मी सर, मैं कुछ एड ऑन करूं?
हाँ रे, प्लीज सर, व्हाई नॉट?
जी जी सर, एज पर अभी अप्रैल मीटिंग ऑफ द गवर्नमेंट, फाइनेंस गवर्नमेंट, they have formed a team to regulate this, and they also want that it could be regularized, or hopefully 2 to 3 years it will be applicable in India.
Yes. Earlier I said, sir, that in my talk I said that it is in house. House means लोक सभा, राज्यसभा में अभी डिस्कशन में है, और इसका नोटिफिकेशन भी हुआ है गवर्नमेंट के द्वारा, बट एक्चुअल किस फॉर्म में होगा, उसका शेप क्या होगा, ये अंडर डिस्कशन है.
Yes sir, because China has create controversy regarding that कि वो पुराने जो बिटकॉइन का प्रोसेस है, क्रिप्टो करेंसी का जो प्रोसेस है, उससे सेपरेट करके अपना लाया हुआ है, उसकी अलग वैल्यू क्रिएट कर रहा हो. इस वजह से थोड़ा सा इंडियन गवर्नमेंट चाह रही है.
वही मैं कह रहा हूँ कि ऐसा नहीं है कि क्रिप्टो करेंसी सिर्फ बिटकॉइन ही है. देयर आर सो मेनी क्रिप्टो करेंसीज.
यस सर.
बिटकॉइन इज जस्ट वन क्रिप्टो करेंसी. आप भी अपना एक क्रिप्टो करेंसी बना सकते हैं, टेक्नोलॉजी सबके पास अवेलेबल है. सो वही मेरा पॉइंट था कि हर एक देश अपना क्रिप्टो करेंसी चाहेगा, क्योंकि वो नहीं चाहेगा कि उस पे कंट्रोल किसी दूसरे देश का हो. फॉर एग्जांपल, आज हम फील करते हैं कि किन्हीं दो कंट्रीज में टेंशन हो गया, फॉर एग्जांपल इंडिया और चाइना में टेंशन हुआ, तो वी बिकम वेरी इन टेंस मोड दैट सर्वर कहाँ पे है, डेटा कहाँ पे है, इसका डेटा उस देश में है, उसका डेटा इस देश में है. पेटीएम है तो पेटीएम का सर्वर कहाँ पे है. सो डेफिनेटली इन फ्यूचर जो वार का नेचर होगा, या जो कंट्रीज के बीच में जो कूटनीतियां होती हैं, तो दिस क्रिप्टो करेंसी will be a very important factor to decide, just like internet technology, space technology. In similar fashion, this cryptocurrency technology, every country going to adopt in near future.
Yes sir. Thank you sir.
We have 2 to 3 minutes more. If anyone have any query, I will respond. Anyone? I think everyone need a good lunch. So enough from my side.
All right, I think we can take a break now. Thank you very much, Vipin sir. We all have gained knowledge, especially I would say that the basic concepts of blockchain, which many of us were not knowing. And thank you for elaborating it so deeply. Thank you very much. And all the participants, we will be meeting back now at 2:45, and we will be starting up with the third session. The topic of the third session will be consensus protocols for blockchain and its use in intelligent transportation systems. All right then.
Yes, मैं एक चीज इसमें ऐड कर दूं, इसीलिए मैंने इसमें मैक्सिमम कंसेंसस को आपको बताने की कोशिश किया कि एक स्पेशल केस के तौर पे थर्ड सेशन में सर डिस्कस करेंगे और बेसिक कुछ चीजें भी वो डिस्कस करेंगे. सो आई हैव अ ब्रेक नाउ. थैंक यू.
Thank you sir. Thank you for informative session.